Hi everyone, this is Anna Finch from Finch Press Publishing. Hope everyone's had good holidays so far. Today's video is a book review. Now, this is also a non-fiction text. It's a book review of How to Be a Writer by John Birmingham. Now, John Birmingham is an Australian author. He's written both fiction and non-fiction, I believe. It's why I bought this. As I was looking for books about self-publishing, and when I went into the bookstore, there wasn't much. But I found that this had information about publishing in Australia. And because he was an Australian author, I thought this would be more helpful for me than another book which also had information about publishing but was written by an American author. Now, in the book, he talks about how to actually be a writer and some strategies that you can use to improve your writing, as well as how to improve your marketing. Now, this is information that is relevant to anyone, regardless of what country they're from or where they're living. So it's relevant to anyone, regardless of where they're living. Now, the information in here is clear, it's easy to understand, so readability it's easily accessible for anyone, regardless of their literacy skills. You could be a student and pick this up and find this helpful. Now, I actually enjoyed this. Now, I normally don't read non-fiction texts outside of what I need to for work, but I actually picked this out, and this wasn't for work that I picked it out for, and I read it and I enjoyed it. I read it in about an hour, actually about 2 hours. I read this in about 2 hours. Now, this is a lot thicker than the geography or the grammar book that I reviewed, but content wise, I found this extremely engaging. I loved every part of it from start to finish. He was engaging from start to finish. He uses humour, colloquial language, swearing as well, in order to make his point. Now, as an Aussie, we do use a lot of swearing in our general conversation, depending on what area of Australia you're in. So swearing is generally a part of normal language, and I was actually surprised and pleased to see it in a book, a non-fiction text, not just a fiction text, but actually in a non-fiction text, using colloquial language, Aussie colloquial language, in order to explain his point. Every point he makes, he backs it up with either personal examples or examples from other authors who have been in similar situations. He covers a wide range of topics. Each one is engaging as the last. He goes through things like how to actually put words on a page. So how to work as a freelance writer, how to write things about writing feature articles, writing a column, being a poet. So he covers a whole range of things connected to writing, and each one builds upon the last in order to create the whole book. So I'll just read some examples. So, at the very least, the rights should revert to you when the book goes out of print. Traditionally, that meant your title was dead. It was an ex-parrot. There was nothing in it for them and presumably for you. But of course, that was in the days before print on demand or self-publishing. I recently contacted a former publisher to inquire about the rights to an ex-parrot I was thinking of bringing back to life as a self-published ebook. I stupidly made the call myself. I should have sent my killers, his lawyers, but I didn't. I could hear the slow, toxic spread of the empty smile across her face as the publisher's intern said, "Oh no, it might not be in print, but it's available print on demand, and if anybody would ever effing bother." So this is basically in a section where if you're doing publishing, traditional publishing especially, you need an agent or a lawyer. He actually goes on and says even if it's been out of print for a while, especially if you traditionally published it, the publisher technically still owns the rights. This guy can say it's print on demand. The language he uses I found interesting. I laughed along. It was engaging. Despite the fact the information regarding publishing itself wasn't specific to Australia, but more general, he does have some comments about publishing in Australia, and about how the differences between Australia and America, especially when it comes to publishing. But despite most of the information being fairly generalised and applicable to everyone, it's still helpful. It was still interesting and helpful. It didn't tell me anything specific to Australian publishing or self-publishing. I actually bought this to do with more self-publishing in Australia, or advice specific to Australia, because I could not find a lot of it on either YouTube or on the internet or anywhere. The reason is because most people on BookTube are Americans or British, and the information to do with self-publishing especially is very, very different to what is the actual case in Australia. For example, in Australia, we do not need to apply for copyright. We do not need to apply, it's automatic. We do need to provide a copy of the book we write to the National Library of Australia, provide one prior to publication, and you give a physical copy or a digital copy after publication. This is for legal purposes, so they have evidence, but again, it's for free. In America, you have to pay for copyright, extra copyright protection, and for that legal protection when you hand in a copy of your book. Australia, it's free. That's probably one of the only things you're going to get for free in Australia. Things like setting up your self-publishing business. In America, you have to pay a bunch of fees in order to get a business name, business number. Australia, the business number is free. You can apply for an Australian business number for free and register as a business. If you register the business name, you pay maybe $30 per year, between 30 and $80. It's cheap. Now, 80 Australian dollars is probably about 70 American, so it's fairly cheap. So things like that you don't find in most publishing books, even in writing books. So some of the information here wasn't directly relevant to me. Even though he was an Australian author, the information wasn't directly relevant to me and my situation in some cases. However, as a piece of literary writing, I do rate this about 9 out of 10. It is engaging. It's interesting. It's very clear. It has examples. It's written in a language that I can understand, and it's easily accessible for most people in Australia. As a writing resource, so if you're just beginning writing, it's a really good resource. I highly recommend it. Even though the publishing side of it's not directly relevant to me, I still recommend it. It's still interesting. Anyway, that's all from me. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, press the like button down below. If you want to be notified of when I upload, press the subscribe button. Thank you for listening. See you next time.